It's because of Arthur that I pronounce Nadine the way I do. I genuinely, as a British person, should pronounce it Nadine, but because I watched so much Arthur growing up, and heard DW talk so much about her imaginary friend, I just it's ingrained in me now to pronounce the name Nadine. DW's imaginary friend is the first segment of the 4th episode of Arthur, and needless to say, this is all about DW's imaginary friend, Nadine. I think this is something that a lot of people will be able to relate to, either if you're a young child with an imaginary friend, or if you're an older child who has a younger sibling or older sibling with an imaginary friend, and that imaginary friend is constantly trying to demand, that they get a seat at the table or that they get an extra helping of food. In this particular episode, Nadine is obviously important, but the main focus is the fact that Arthur and Buster want to go on to this new ride at Wonderworld, the theme park, and DW wants to go as well. But obviously DW is very young, she's a very timorous child. Once she gets there, Arthur knows that she will not want to go on and she will completely embarrass him. So actually, I'm not going to say how he solves the problem or what he does, but I found it to be a really interesting narrative. Something I've mentioned before is I love seeing theme parks in animation. I think animated theme parks are the epitome of fun, because animation is fun and theme parks are fun. And I found it to be quite a fun episode. It's one of those episodes that I don't remember, but then when I start watching it, it all comes flooding back to me, and that's absolutely the case with this viewing. And there are some moments in this that I really love. I love how Arthur treats DW. Sometimes he obviously treats her not very fairly because he's her big older brother and siblings squabble. But, sometimes you get a glimmer of hope that he actually looks at her as a vulnerable child who looks up to him. And we have a nice dynamic there, and I kind of enjoy it. This is obviously our proper introduction to Nadine as a character. With regards to the design of Nadine, she's certainly a very creative one, because usually imaginary friends are modelled either in the child's own image or in the image of somebody they've seen, or a picture of a person or a celebrity or something. Nadine, not so much. She's very unique. She is she's been created by DW, and that shows a real sense of creativity. So credit to DW for being able to create something that's kind of a contrast to the way she looks. Nadine's definitely an interesting character. I never find her that interesting, by which I mean if an episode is all about her, yes, it's interesting like this one, but when she pops up here and there, I can just take her or leave her. But in this particular episode, I think they've explored the topic really well, very effectively. We get to see different sides of Arthur as he approaches this subject, and the subject of his embarrassing little sister. It's not a bad episode. DW's imaginary friend is a really solid, all-round, good episode, which, as I said, is maybe not that memorable on the surface, but when I start watching it again, the nostalgia comes flooding back to me.